This is Rob Macready, and he is working in his element, mixing different plastics, scents, and resins while getting ready to make his own fish pattern swim baits, one of which is his own secret patent that is, as he says, not for sale. He uses these baits to catch lots of big fish out in the Great Pacific Northwest Sea, the place he most enjoys spending his time.
So cool.
This man's name is Rob Macready, but he's also known as Gunny, a retired United States Marine Corps gunnery sergeant. On a typical day, you will see Gunny on the water with a boat full of military veterans, some active duty, some retired, and most with military-related disabilities. Gunny knows the healing power a day in the outdoors can be for his fellow veterans, which is strengthened by the camaraderie that only comes from a mixed bag of service members and a lot of military jokes. I know this because as an Air Force veteran myself, most of the jokes are headed my way.
So all the time.
In this video, I will interview Gunny to find out who he is and why he is so passionate about helping other veterans. Please, watch this next 10-minute interview as we get to know the local fishing patriot, Gunny. Thanks, Rob, for taking some time to meet me and a random stranger to talk about fishing a little bit. And thanks for agreeing to just sit here and chat with me a little bit about your life. So I just have a few questions, and curious to know if you could just tell me what your name is and why you have the nickname Gunny.
Rob Macready, and I got the nickname Gunny because Navy guys like him. Because I was a gunnery sergeant in the Marine Corps.
Gunnery sergeant, okay. So actually that leads into the second question about your military service. Like, we're all in some sort of a community of military members, and can you tell me a little bit about your service and how you served and what you did?
Yeah, I just did 20 years in the Corps, retired in 2000 as a gunny, and nothing spectacular. You know, 1980 to 2000, there wasn't a heck of a lot going on back then.
And I'm sorry to stop you, but gunny, can you tell me a little bit, for people who are not in the Marine Corps, what's a gunny?
It's just a E7, a gunnery
E7.
sergeant.
Okay, gotcha.
A chief in the Navy, sergeant first class in the Army.
Okay.
So it's just a rank, E7.
Okay. And so you got out in 2000. How many years were you in the military?
20.
20 years.
Yep.
So you retired. Awesome.
Yep, at 20.
Okay. And about your service, is there anything like that just stands out to you, maybe that was significant, or maybe things about the service that impact who you are today?
No, I don't think so. I just
I
come from a long line of military family. I always looked up to him. My dad was a career man.
Really?
All my uncles served. I had an uncle that was killed on Iwo Jima. It just happened.
Yeah, so your dad was in the Marine Corps?
No, my dad was started in the Army Air Corps.
Okay.
He flew in the assault gliders, and then he ended up in the Air Force and finished out his career in the Air Force. Retired during the Vietnam conflict. He was in Vietnam in the mid-60s and retired in 1971.
So they were military. So what was your initial reason for joining the Marine Corps?
A buddy of mine wanted to. He was hell bent on doing it, and him and I mean, we were together every day, and we ended up in the recruiter's office. He wanted to join, and I ended up joining before he did.
Okay.
But he ended up in also. He did 3 years and got out, and I ended up doing 20.
Wow. Why did you stay in so long?
They kept offering me places that it was like, yeah, I'd like to go there.
Okay.
You know.
Where's the coolest place you got to go?
I don't know. All of them were a lot of fun. I did a operation up in Norway, a NATO operation. It was probably one of the most beautiful places I've ever been on the planet.
Wow.
You know, it was I can't remember the name of it. But yeah, that was probably the funnest. I really enjoyed being up in Norway. You know, it was January, February, March, towards the end of the wintertime, and I mean the whole sky from horizon to horizon at nighttime would be northern lights.
Awesome.
Yeah, it was pretty cool up there.
Okay. So we all know that, or at least I know, that you're the most hardcore fisherman I've probably ever seen. I mean, from what I see, you're fishing every single day. So,
if possible.
And really, that's the passion we all share here. Well, we all share military service, but the passion for fishing. And how did you get started fishing? And tell me a little bit about this whole passion craze that you have.
You know, I couldn't tell you the exact age. I would say somewhere around 5. Nobody got me into it. Nobody in my family. You know, I just, at the park, I remember seeing people fishing and I was drawn to it. And asked for a fishing pole for Christmas, and I got it. And I've never looked back. You know, anytime, weekends, summers, when other kids were going to work in the strawberry fields and whatnot to earn money, I was digging worms to go fishing. I wasn't going to work. I was a kid. I was at the lake or the river every day during the summer.
What? Every day when you were
every
a
day?
teenager?
Yeah.
What?
Elementary school, you know, my teen years, nonstop.
What about fishing? What do you think you love about fishing that makes you love to do it?
You know, I tell people all the time, it's not about the fish. If it was about the fish, I'd have had to quit a long time ago because I've given away freezers full of fish. I gave away all the fish I caught this morning. So I don't know what it is. I got to be, if not at the water, on the water. And the ocean's my real love. I love being out on the ocean. I've fished the rivers for years and years and years in my youth, steelhead and trout. I've fished around the world. I've fished, largemouth bass in the reservoirs up in the mountains of Japan. I've fished all over the place. But this ocean on the Pacific coast is my favorite. It's my love.
Okay. Do you ever get seasick?
Nope.
Wow.
I tell people all the time that I believe the cure for seasickness is coffee and chemotherapy, because I take both of them every day and I never get seasick.
Not recommended for other people. Oh. Okay, and you don't have to share anything really about the chemo, but unless if it comes up. But the next question is probably the most important one.
It doesn't matter to me. I'm not shy about anything.
The next one is I think it's important because the reason I find myself intrigued about you and your life is your generosity. And I've been watching. Today's the first day I've ever met you. I just randomly got a hold of you and said, hey, can we hang out for a minute? And you invited me in. That was awesome. But I've been watching you enable other veterans to go fishing, taking other veterans fishing, taking veterans crabbing, and even like Memorial Day, you got a charter and there's a bunch of veterans going fishing on Memorial Day, which I'm going to be part of that group. So what's with this? Like, what is your specific passion on helping veterans and connecting them with the sport of fishing?
Well, I think even the VA has started to make a connection with the healing power of the outdoors, period. Not just fishing, because a lot of other people have other passions. Yeah. Kayaking. There's a gal that I know that's in, I think in Utah, and she started a nonprofit, and she takes them mountaineering and hiking up and all kinds of crazy stuff. And she goes well beyond me. It's an actual 501c3 of hers and only hers. And so she gets sponsors and she flies vets in from all over the place with PTSD and stuff, and gets them out in the wilderness doing on these adventures. So it's the healing power of the outdoors and outdoor activities is huge. And the VA is finally coming around to seeing a lot of that stuff. So that's a big part of why I do what I do. I can share it. I can be selfish and go do it by myself all the time, right. And I would love it. But why not share it? Yeah. Because there's a lot of other people that might not have the resources to go do some of the things that I do, and I can share that with them.
Hey, how many veterans do you think in a year that you at least
Well,
not just take out, but like that you go fishing with or are able to help?
yeah, and some of them, like there was a kid last year that I don't want to say I've taken some people under my wings, but there's some people that I've met that I have found that got severe PTSD or for whatever reasons, and I see them really in deep depression, and I know that this can be a cure. And there was one guy last year, and it's like, man. And I had an offer to go to Drano, but I couldn't because I had medical appointments. A friend of mine that's a guide, he was up there. He's like, come on out here. And I said, I can't, but since you got that seat, how about I give you some money and I send a vet out? He said, okay. So I paid him $200 and I sent this vet out. Next thing I know, I'm seeing pictures posted, and this guy's got a grin from ear to ear holding a salmon. And that was his start on a fishing adventure, and he's been fishing since and loving it. So it's not just on my boat. Sometimes, I'll do stuff like that, or I'll do other things for vets that, if I can help in any way,
Yeah.
and that's kind of where I started doing this because I saw a need for it. Fishing is number one. I'm going to do that. But if I see other ways I can help these guys and gals, I absolutely do it. And so anyways, to answer your question, how many, and I do have count of several years worth, and I'd have to get into the records. Some of the records got lost. But last year alone, I kept a spreadsheet, and between getting on my boat, getting on charter boats, getting on other guide boats, it was 263 butts and seats.
Yeah, awesome.
263. Some of those are returned, It might have done, 3 crab trips with me or this or that, but it was 263 seats in 1 year.
That's awesome. I'm really looking forward to going out with all of you guys on Memorial Day.
Yeah.
And I relate to what you say because that's like my therapy. When I get out in the outdoors, it makes me feel better. Makes me feel sane. So thank you for that work you do.
Mm-hmm.
Does anybody support you? Do you do this all on your own? Do you work with do other organizations support you, or do you support yourself?
I do now. There's these guys are helping me. The charter company.
Yeah. Which charter company?
Yeah, it's Yaquina Bay Charter, and 2 boat owners specifically, the Spindrift and the Umatilla 2. They give me Memorial Day and Veterans Day.
Awesome.
They give them to me. But even on regular, trips, Yaquina Bay Charter gives a 10% veterans discount. So they don't give, these days to any old vet. They do it for me because they've come to know me and they're friends of mine and they know what I do.
Yeah.
So they're not going to let Andrew have the Navy's birthday or stuff like that. And then any other time, they'll give me days if I want to do a trip, and they give me a extremely cut rate. And so I try on those ones, and I did one here about a month and a half ago. I did 2 boats, but I took that money out of my pocket and paid for them at a cut rate. And I took 28 vets out that day on 2 charter boats. Awesome. And I try to do those on off busy days, because I understand that they're in a business to make money. So I don't want to take their busy days. It might be a weekday, or if it's on a weekend and they're doing a morning half-day rockfish lingcod trip, well, we can do an afternoon one. And they can make a little more money. They'll charge me like their overhead, and then so they're going to make money on tips. And I always ask the vets, they don't have to. It's not mandatory, but I always ask them to be generous with their tips. Yeah. I'm going to pay their fare. That's the least they could do, because those are, if we do crab pots also, it's a $125 trip before their 10% discount.
Right.
So that's still $112 that they're not having to pay to go on one of those trips.
Yeah, and that's out of Newport, Oregon.
Yeah, Newport, Yaquina Bay Charters.
Awesome. Yeah. Is there any way, if people were interested in supporting you in any way in what you do for veterans, is there any way they could support you, or
I never ask. The only, matter of fact, there's times the veterans have tried to force things or hide things in my truck, and that's a good way to get blacklisted off my boat, because that is not what I'm about. When I say that this is from me to the veterans, I mean that wholeheartedly. The only time I've ever accepted any kind of help was through legitimate 501c3 nonprofits. But for the most part, I enjoy doing it on my own. I don't mind spending the money. You know, if there's absolutely no fundraising whatsoever going on, I probably could spend, you know, maybe $30,000 a year. You know, that boat alone is probably $80,000. But I don't mind. What else? I'm a single man, and this is my passion. It's what I'm going to do. Period. You know?
Hey, if it makes you happy,
Yeah.
you know, if it's your passion, go after your passion.
Yeah. So I've always been very steadfast. Absolutely refuse a red cent from any veteran that I serve. And like I said, the ones that keep, and I've found money in my truck before, and that just, you know, I mean, no means no, right? I appreciate the offer. It's heartfelt, but when I say no, that's what I mean, and it's not up for debate.
Awesome. All right. Well, I want to say on behalf of the veteran community that I am a part of, and thank you so much for your service, and thank you for encouraging all of us and helping all of us get out in the water to go fishing. I know you've helped a lot of people, including everybody standing in the room, and
I
so.
am.
Yeah.
I hope that was outside of it. No, it's not. I could see myself, damn it.
So thank you very much, and thank you for meeting with me.
Yeah, absolutely, man.
Okay,
Look forward to fishing here in a couple days. Now it's time to pour some more baits.